There's so much to consider, so many variables, and you're probably feeling a little overwhelmed. So what I want to do in this video is just kind of break it all down and go through the different variables that you want to think about when you're about to buy your first banjo, okay? You've got tenor banjos, you've got 5-string banjos, you've got plectrum banjos. I'm going to show you a tenor banjo first. So this is a tenor banjo, okay? This is not the kind of banjo that I will be teaching on. A tenor banjo is not used for bluegrass, but I want to show you this because a lot of times people will come to me and go, hey, you know, is this banjo cool? It's like a 5-string, right? 5-string is used for bluegrass. No, it's not. It's tuned differently. A 5-string banjo is tuned in an open chord. This is not tuned in an open chord. This is all out of tune, so I'm not going to strum it for you. But this kind of banjo, a tenor banjo, has a much shorter neck than a 5-string banjo. The range is much higher. The notes are a lot higher because the neck is shorter. And it's strummed with a pick, like a guitar. It's not played with finger picks like a 5-string, like a bluegrass banjo. This is the kind of banjo that you're going to see in jazz bands, Dixieland jazz bands specifically, like the Preservation Hall Jazz Band in New Orleans. Another type of banjo is a plectrum banjo. Now, a plectrum banjo is a 4-string banjo like a tenor banjo, okay? But the neck is longer. It's about the size of a 5-string. The length of the neck is the length of a 5-string banjo's neck. A plectrum banjo is also going to be used primarily in jazz, and it's a banjo that is strummed like a tenor banjo. So now we come to 5-string banjos. Okay, so 5-string banjos, which is what I'm holding here, are the kinds of banjos that will be used in bluegrass playing, 3-finger style playing. Okay, now you have different types of 5-string banjos. Okay, I happen to be playing a 5-string banjo that is called an open back banjo. In other words, there's no pot on this side. It's an open back. In other words, you see what I'm talking about. I'm touching the other side of the head. It's open back here. Okay? Open back banjos, unlike banjos with resonators, which would have a wooden pot here. Open back banjos are going to be a little softer, less volume. Okay? Also, another thing about open back banjos is they're much lighter than banjos with resonators. And sometimes, but not all the time, sometimes the action might be a little higher. In other words, the distance from the surface of the fretboard to the strings might be a little higher. So this is a banjo with a resonator, all right? Here's the resonator right here. It's going to be a lot louder than an open back banjo and a lot heavier too. So here's the deal with resonated banjos. When you're talking about bluegrass, you're never going to see a professional banjo player, professional bluegrass banjo player playing with a banjo that's an open back. It's always going to be a resonated banjo, okay, if they know what they're doing. That doesn't mean to say that you can't learn on an open back banjo. And I'll even go one step further. If you're buying a banjo to learn on, for your money, the open backs are a great buy. So if you're buying from a store, the great thing is you can try out the instrument, right? You've got salespeople there who can answer questions that you may have. Also, if there's a sales staff there that can help out with repairs, oh my gosh, that's fantastic. They can also help out a lot of times with the setup of your banjo. That means the positioning of the bridge. A lot of times the bridge isn't in the right place. Putting on strings, tuning the banjo, that sort of thing. They can also help out if for any reason you have to return the instrument or trade it in for something. And that's great to have people there who can actually deal with that stuff. If you decide you want to go buy a banjo online, the best thing to do is go directly to a manufacturer. Now, the really good manufacturers of banjos that I consider good banjos to learn on, Deering Goodtime, awesome banjo. That banjo without the resonator that I was showing in the demonstration, that's a Deering Goodtime. Great banjos. Also, Recording King, another great banjo. Also Goldtone, these are all great banjos. So if you have to buy online, go with a reputable manufacturer. That's my advice. If you want to play bluegrass, you want a 5-string banjo. The Deering Goodtime that I had here, the open back, that's a 5-string banjo. My banjo is a 5-string banjo as well. Those are banjos that bluegrass is played on. Those are also banjos that old-timey or clawhammer is played on. And clawhammer is just an older style of banjo. A lot of times people call it mountain banjo. Old-time music, old-time banjo. It predates bluegrass by a good 2 centuries. It's the kind of music that you'd hear someone playing in the Appalachian Mountains on a porch, that kind of thing. No picks. But those can also be, that kind of music is also played on 5-string banjos as well. So if your goal is to jam with other people, let's say you want to join some bluegrass jams, I highly recommend getting a banjo with a resonator at some point, okay? You can definitely learn on a banjo without a resonator, but if your goal is to pick with other people, other bluegrass pickers, you're gonna need a resonated banjo at some point. That's not to say if you're just playing with other people around a campfire, you know, do an open back banjo, that's fine. Open backs are great, they're great. I would just say the resonated banjo is going to be a must if you're going to play in real bluegrass type situations, right? So you can learn on a banjo that's an open back, obviously, but for someone who's really interested in the bluegrass experience, jamming with other bluegrass pickers, that sort of thing, a resonated banjo is going to be the way to go at some point.